Okay.
Just testing to see if everything is good.
Okay.
The interesting YouTube delay. Let me turn this down.
Mm.
Eventually, we can create some names.
Oh yeah.
Right now, I'm just using like episode 2, just using a number system. But it's cool that we got. Well, unofficially, we have three
Yeah.
sessions. But officially, this will be our second one.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm getting better. I'm finally slowly getting this stuff down packed.
We always got some type of technical difficulties in the world of technical complexities. So,
Sure do. Sure do. So, I got this new mic and I'm gonna play with it some more. It just came this morning. So
and is this your first time using this kind of a mic?
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
So this is you breaking it in day, basically, is what you're saying.
sure am. So I wanna this is just to get me started, my budget one. But as we do this more, I'm gonna upgrade my equipment.
That's I think that's something that we all do, even with the digital stuff,
Yeah.
like WordPress. Start off with some free plugins and cheap hosting, and then
Yeah.
upgrade our stuff later. That's normally how it is.
Mhm.
Well, now that we are officially here, I want to thank everybody for joining us and bearing with us as we, just ease into our our conversations and our talks and this, for a lack of a better terms, people will use the word podcasting, but we're slowly but surely moving forward and progressing and just shaping this thing as we go. And then over a few episodes, over a couple months, hopefully we'll have more of a fine-tuned um, a show and an event, and you know, at that point you'll be lucky and be happy that you came on early before everybody else got wind of it. So
Oh yeah.
that's what I look forward to more than anything.
Yes. Especially seeing the growth of the podcast and the different topics we jump into.
Yes, and making sure that even though the name of the podcast is WP Page Speed Builds, we're just not talking about building out pages, or we're just not actually building out pages, but making sure people are equipped and they are confident in all the ways they can just have a more efficient WordPress presence, WordPress site.
Yeah. I mean, but it all in the long run, it all comes together. When if you get you a good system, or you educate yourself on plugins and themes, all that comes together to help you build faster.
Absolutely. That's things are supposed to come together. I think that was a Beatles song. Come together right
Yeah.
now. I could be wrong, y'all. Somebody gonna
Mhm.
correct me that's a Beatles fan, but it does. It has to all come together, and when it does, it hits you full circle. But they say hindsight is 2020. You'll think that, oh man, in the beginning of my journey, I thought I was never gonna learn this. And
Yeah.
4 years later, 2 years later, or a couple months later, you're like, man, it wasn't as hard as I thought it was gonna be.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever felt that? I mean, it sounds like you felt that way.
Oh yeah. I mean, even learning WordPress myself. I I guess I came from a Drupal background, so it wasn't as bad, but WordPress is a different ecosystem and learning how things are done. And then, I think especially being a developer, you're so used to making stuff do it your way.
Mhm.
And it gets frustrating sometimes. And sometimes you have to take a step back and figure out how like WordPress wants you to do it. And so sometimes that takes patience.
Yeah, a lot of patience. I would say that. Sometimes you feel like
Ain't nobody got time for that.
you don't have as much patience as you think that you do, but you got to have patience with WordPress. So, and I know that one thing I'm probably going to keep reiterating or mentioning, because there will be times where people will get confused. But when we're talking about WordPress, we're talking about WordPress.org, not WordPress.com. Even though they're used interchangeably and it's the same name. Um, we're discussing the ecosystem of WordPress.org, because that is the open source version of WordPress. It's the more you can get into a lot of trouble version if you don't, as we just said, take your time and be patient and learn things. And you can have a great time in WordPress.org, but you can also break things, or you can
Yeah.
break your bank, you can break your neck. But it's not the same
Yeah.
thing as WordPress.com though.
No. But it's WordPress.com, it's kind of like, but they kind of manage everything on the back end, but with that you also lose a lot of freedom. So
Yeah.
it's picking your poison.
You gotta pick your poison. Yes, absolutely. And excuse our manners, but forgot to introduce Mark Bennett and my Maestro Stevens. For those of you all who don't know who we are, I gotta reiterate and remember that there's always going to be some first time listener,
Yeah.
or viewer. So we just like to getting straight into things. But yeah, if you're just joining for the first time, or you're just joining now, we just decided to get together and create something, a channel for ourselves, or space, however you want to call it, where we can talk about our journey, whether it's our victories or our challenges dealing with WordPress. And you know, the name, or just thinking of page speed or the speed of a page, that's just more of of one of those terms that you use to really get people's attention, because we all care about speed, making things fast. Speed is the life. Microwave error. However, one thing I think that me and Mark can both attest to is that, as he just mentioned, you got to be patient. You got to take your time with certain things. You got to be willing to get your hands a little dirty, if you want to take on the task yourself. And you just got to you got to be um, in a place where you understand that WordPress.org, again specifying that it is more flexible, which means it's going to be more complex, which means that it can be more complicated. Whereas WordPress.com, if you're looking for something that's more managed through the hosting and managed through, you can't really break things, you might want to go the WordPress.com way. But we're talking mainly about WordPress.org.
Yeah.
Yeah, more than anything. So let's kick it off with some tests here. Speaking of WordPress.org, because that's the cool part about WordPress.org and the flexibility is that there's so many different pathways to your site's finish line, and one of those pathways starts with your hosting. So we're going to test one specific hosting platform. I'm trying to make it simple. One specific hosting platform, which is one that we both use. This is called InstaWP. And it's not necessarily for hosting, but they have a hosting feature and a hosting service. But we're going to test a few different ways a person would build out a page. We're going to test the speed of it using different page builders. And so let me share my screen here. We're going to do it right from in WordPress. So, Mark, do you have any experience with Elementor?
I do have extensive experience with Elementors. I have a lot of clients, a lot of new people love to use Elementor because it's an easier learning curve. They have a lot more templates and a lot more add-ons to help people get started.
Mm. So, what would you say, from your opinion, is the unique selling point or value of using an Elementor?
I think their value is in the amount of templates.
Mm.
So it allows people to get up started easier. You know, you can uh, find a template and change the content, change the images, and have something kind of ready to go.
Hmm.
Um, and they use a lot more of a drag and drop builder, which a lot of people are used to if you're, you know, in with the Wix and the Squarespace and stuff like that. So they have a pretty easy builder.
Mm. So, for Elementor, would you say that it would be user friendly for the average person?
Yeah, it would. I think it's, you know, one of the most downloaded page builders, so it is definitely user friendly. And I think what also helps it, besides the add-ons, is there are a lot of tutorials on Elementor as well.
I know when I first started doing WordPress, well, not doing WordPress. Don't do WordPress, it does you. But when I first started using WordPress, Elementor was one of the page builders that I started
Yeah,
my journey off with.
yeah,
So I have
yeah.
some experience with it as well.
Yeah. So for me, when I started off, it was choosing in between Elementor and Beaver Builder.
Mm,
Um, and so I went with Elementor because it seemed like their development process at the time was a little bit quicker than
mm,
Beaver Builder.
mhm,
And so that's how I started with them.
mm. And for those who don't know, that the whole process of building a page in a website, that's what we're referring to as
Yes,
a page builders or page building.
yes. Hmm.
So WordPress itself, it has its own core page builder. A lot of people, when they say page builders, they're talking about things outside of WordPress's core page builder called Gutenberg or the WordPress editor.
Or
So,
block editor.
or the block editor. It has like
Yeah.
30 names for it. Then we gonna figure out one or two, right?
Yeah.
Um, but when we say page builder, typically we're talking about a third party page builder, one that's not the core page builder of WordPress, meaning a tool, usually a plugin, normally a plugin that you add on your website, like I have done right now, and then it gives you the settings, an area where you can start building out the pages, and some of them do it differently. That's one thing I've learned. They all do it differently.
Yes.
So right now, for those who are listening to this versus being able to see, I have added Elementor, I've added Beaver Builder, and I've added SeedProd, three different page builders you can find in the WordPress repo or the WordPress directory. That's another terminology that you can use interchangeably.
Mhm.
So we're going to be testing these three page builders, and we're going to test WordPress's core Gutenberg, core WordPress editor, core editor, whatever you want to call a page editor, block editor. So we're going to do that using blank pages that only have the header and footer. And right now, we're only using the stock 2024 theme that comes with WordPress. When you listen to this in 2025, you'll be using the 2025 full site editing theme. Right now, we're just using the default 2024 theme just to make things simple. And then as far as pages wise, we just have a blank. We're just going to make blank pages and call them a blank page test. So as I mentioned, there is no content on the page itself. However, just so that there's something on the page, we've made sure that there's the header and the footer area. And that's it. Just header, footer, no content. So let me take this URL here, because right now there's nothing activated on this website. So that means that we're using the default WordPress core page builder, aka the WordPress editor. We're using that. There's no activated plugins, and we're going to take the link and we're going to drop it in Page Speed Insights. And this is Google's tool to give you some feedback and some ways, just striving to simplify for people, because a developer would say this does X, Y, and Z. Really, it gives you feedback on how fast your site may be, because most people who go to this tool, when they get a score that Google gives you, it'll be based off of simulation. It won't be based off of real-time users. And that's because you have to have a lot of users or visitors before Google gives you real-time user experience. Okay, so Mark, what do you see here just for this blank test?
Let's see here. We got a 99%. I mean, there's not much on the page, so you know, everything looks good.
As it should be. It would be a problem if it wasn't. Okay.
Yeah.
So based on what you just mentioned, it being 99, and that's one of those things, and you can give your opinion on it, where I tell people don't chase the score.
Not at all.
Yeah, don't chase it. If you get into the green, which is 90, so Google breaks it down from 0 to 49, you're in the red, 50 to 89, you're in the yellow, and 90 to 100%, you're in the green. So I say high yellow, and then, or if you make it in the green, that's great. What do you tell your clients or tell people?
I usually tell people, you know, like 90 and above is good, and it also depends what's on the page, right? Do we have a YouTube video on there, or you know, do we have some plugin that uses a lot of JavaScript? So sometimes it just depends. I tell them not to chase it, because what we're after is the content, right? Because even now Google is docking people, you know, for content. So I'd rather you chase content than performance. You know, performance can be, you know, fixed a little bit, and even some of your big sites have horrible performance, but they rank high on Google.
Yes, they do. That says a lot. We'll get into that in another episode. Why that is. But that is a good point that you make. Okay, so would you say that, you know, based on these scores, this is typically what we can use as a benchmark?
Yes.
Okay. The only thing that didn't hit high end was the SEO, and this hasn't optimized at all. So yeah. So okay. So we have the benchmark here. Again, we're using InstaWP as the hosting, which has very fast hosting. So that's why I said it starts with your foundation, which is normally your hosting. Then from there, what are your building blocks, or what is your tech stack? And right now, this is a super lean WordPress website, because there is only the theme, the default theme. There is nothing else. All right. So now let's activate Elementor. And we're going to test another page.
Skip on the right.
Let me skip this. Yes.
You can close it out. Yeah, it looks like you closed it out.
And I noticed, I'm glad you mentioned that. So as I was going through that onboarding sequence, I'm noticing more plugins are doing that, are forcing you to go through their onboarding, and they're making it harder for you to cancel out, you know, to skip it. It's just one of those things. All right, so I'm going to go to add a new page. Now, this is the situation where you're not editing in the normal or the default WordPress editor scenario. You're editing in the Elementor. The Elementor, how do I say, environment, maybe?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna do this, publish this, because there's nothing on here as well, right? As far as we can tell.
I think for the best test, we might need to put like a heading and an image.
A heading and an image?
Yeah.
Okay.
At least have a little bit of content.
Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do
Okay.
the second round. Let's
All
do
right. Let's do that. Okay.
first round 0, no nothing, and then second round we'll do same thing. Some type of image or
Okay.
content in there. So I'm gonna save it. It's already published. I believe I can go to. That's how you know it's been so long since I've been in. That's preview. So can I go to the page itself? Let's see. I'm just gonna go back and go to the.
There goes view page there.
There we go. There we go. All right. So let's take the view page and put this in PageSpeed Insights, just like we did with the blank page for Gutenberg. While that does that, I'm going to get ahead and just kind of go back here. And all right. So this is the reason why I wanted to test this with just with nothing in the content area. And this is typically where I tell people to do 2 to 3 tests. You don't always want to go off the first one because the first one, it could be misleading. But the second one, the third one could be misleading. I did notice that Google has done something to where, and it depends on your situation. So I can't say this is for everybody, but I've noticed when I've used this tool multiple times, when I click the analyze button again to like reanalyze the page, the score doesn't move anywhere, or they don't even reanalyze it; it just sticks there. Then there's sometimes where they will reanalyze it. Have you had that too happen?
Yeah, I have. I think they're getting so many requests to where, they're probably like, you've already requested for display the same data on there.
And I think that could be a possibility as well. They're getting so many requests. So I'm going to leave that there because I know I got rid of the other one.
Yeah.
And I'll put it back. Okay, so we have 76 now.
Yeah.
Is there anything that sticks out to you that is different than the previous one?
I guess the first contentful paint and the largest contentful paint. Can you go down for me?
Mm-hmm.
And so, Elementor has been getting hit hard with the amount of HTML they use to create stuff, and so they're trying to reduce it. You can always speed up Elementor sites with other plugins, but at the same time, you're like, why do I need to install another plugin to help speed this site up? So I think that's the bad side of Elementor is they add a lot of HTML that you don't need.
Yeah, that's what I hear a lot. I've experienced that myself. Just another way that sometimes people phrase it is there's just a lot of scripts that get.
There's scripts too. Well, and so those widgets too, it's loading scripts for all those widgets and stuff as well too. So
even when you're not using them, that's the key. Even though we're not using anything, we're at a 76 compared to a 99 before. So just keep that in mind. All right, so let me go back to. Let me put the other one in there. So that's the Elementor. I'm gonna copy this. Now again, might get a different score this time because sometimes when you run it back, it does that. All right, so I'm gonna deactivate Elementor. I'm gonna go to Beaver Builder next. This was the one I had to, because I don't use Beaver Builder, so I'd never used it. So I had to go through it for a second to figure this out. But I think it's you go to Pages, right? Okay, and then launch Beaver Builder. I just saw it say use the classic. Can you use the classic with the Beaver Builder elements?
No clue.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't really know much about Beaver Builder.
It's been that long for you too, huh?
Like I said, I went with Elementor and didn't even.
You said when you had the fork in the road, you chose You said you didn't even test it. I'm thinking you tested it out. Like you like, nah,
Yeah.
I didn't even test it.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Well, let
Like I
me
said, I think with Elementor, like you had your whole bunch of tutorials and stuff like that. So,
yeah,
I think that's why I went that way.
gotcha. Okay. So this is why this is organic. Like I'm just testing this out because and we don't even use this. So we're just giving you guys our
Mhm,
unbiased,
mhm.
unbiased observation. I will just call this Beaver and call this Beaver. Okay, so copy this and then I'm gonna duplicate this and then put this in here. And it's okay. So yeah, we're still at a 98. So see how it didn't fluctuate that much? 98, 99. So
Mhm,
this was just right now we have just the WordPress editor,
mhm.
nothing on the page except for the footer and header. I'm testing that with PageSpeed Insights, and it's at a 99 from a performance grade. Then we have Elementor. Again, nothing in the header or the footer, just a blank page, and it's at a 76 performance grade. And now we have Beaver Builder,
Oh, that went to an 81.
and that's at an 81 performance
Mhm,
by PageSpeed. Same thing, no content, just a header and the footer, all the same thing as the other pages. So interesting.
mhm.
So if I would have put these in order, I would say right now we got Gutenberg, Beaver Builder, and then Elementor. Now let's test the last one. That's a very popular one. Again, I haven't used it, but I know a lot of people who swear by it. And it's really popular in the WordPress repository, and that is SeedProd.
I've heard of it too. I've never used it.
Yeah, I've never, but it's got hundreds of thousands of downloads. So that's pretty popular in the thing. Let me get out of this. I believe SeedProd is another one of those things where okay, you do it from the add a page.
Mhm.
Okay, edit SeedProd. So, and this was okay, yeah, this was different because this said you got to create a blank template, and then you have to name it so seed. And they all have different experiences.
Mhm.
I think I made like Elementors as far as a page builder the best
Yeah.
so far because the rest of these just it just takes me into some weird areas. I don't know. What do you think? That's,
Yeah. Looks like a lot of clicks.
yeah, that's what I want to say. It's a lot of clicks. It's a lot of clicks before I can do something.
Is that even loading?
Is it? Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Is it even loading? Okay, it says it's in post,
Oh,
or is this
does
the
it
page?
does it take over the header and footer too? Wow.
Let's hold on. Let's see. Let me get out of this. Go to pages and see is that page there.
The girl's seed, very bottom.
It says now. See, it did the seed landing page. That's why is it doing the landing page? See, it's not making it a regular page.
Yeah, it's taking over everything.
Yeah, it's taking over
Can
everything. Oh,
you can you can you create a page and then see if you can add it? Create a page. Oh, there we go.
that's what I tried to.
Well, oh, you did that before?
Yeah, edit with CPROD. That's where it took us. Look,
Click it. Click it again.
it takes you to this weird template area, I guess, and you
Uh,
have to start with a blank page.
oh, yeah,
So it does, I guess, to your point, it takes over the header and the footer. Like you can't. So maybe it's not full site editing
yeah,
compatible, because we're using the 2024 theme.
yeah. I don't know.
That's it's weird though. So wait, let me go back to the page and copy and then put it here. I mean, I guess it's as fair as a test as we can get because I don't want to take too much time trying to figure out how to bring back the header and the footer.
Yeah,
And let me make sure I took off the other page builders. Okay, good.
yeah. Oh man. Uh,
It's, Hold on, let's see. That's not good. So we got an error here.
Let's go back to the page. Let's add something to that page.
Okay, let's add something to it. Let's just say, okay, edit page.
Yeah. Oh, is this C Prime?
Why would it? Okay, I'm just gonna put some content. Just yeah,
I'm so lost.
we gonna see. View page. Nope, there's still no content in there.
Is there a specific theme you need to use?
I'm assuming this has to be tested with a regular. I mean, I would have to. We could be wrong. Listen, if you're watching this or you see this, let us know. We're not CProd users. Because every time I go here,
And guess what? I never will be.
yes. It's somebody out there that got super mad right now. Like, how could you? Okay, well, it's cool because I wanted to at least test 3, so we'll just count these 3. I want to get into 4 maybe, but we have 3. Gutenberg by itself, the fastest. Beaver Builder, the second fastest, and then Elementor is the third fastest.
Is Divi free?
I thought about that, and no, it's not.
Okay.
That's the reason why I didn't, because that was another popular one that you
Yes.
yeah, very popular Divi.
Yeah.
It's not free.
Okay.
If you can think of any other popular free ones, because that's the thing, like the popular free ones are really limited.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Yeah, the popular free ones are really limited. Let me deactivate this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you type in page builder, you're gonna get a lot of block editor page, and that's one thing I want to stay away from, because technically it's like it's a hybrid. You know, it's like it's a page builder block editor, but it's using the WordPress editor. So that's one thing, yeah, I wanted to avoid is using Gutenberg, but then using third-party blocks.
Yeah. But I mean, third-party blocks, it's using Gutenberg, but it's just extending it.
Yeah. Which is good, but technically it's that weird thing where is it a page, because this says more than the page builder. So they're saying they're more than the page builder, but even though that's what people refer to them as when it comes to Elementor, a page builder. But if you notice in other blocks like Otter blocks, this is a third-party block. They don't have their own interface. This is just blocks, but they're calling themselves a page builder. Same thing for Spectra, if I'm not mistaken. If I type in Spectra, and this is another third-party block if you all don't know. Gutenberg editor. Oh, they changed it, because at first they used to call themselves page editor.
Okay.
Now they're saying Gutenberg blocks.
Okay. Well, I think because the name is getting
it's confusing. Yeah, it's like, how are you calling yourself a page builder, but yet you're Gutenberg blocks? Like you're a block editor, you're a block tool for a page builder.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's that, y'all. So just giving y'all that tip. If you're going to have a fast site, it does matter your hosting, and it does matter the page builder or the block, the third-party Gutenberg blocks tool that you use. That matters.
Have you ever built have you ever dealt with a site built with the page builder by page or by site origin?
I've heard complications. I've heard about it. I've never done it though.
It's very complicated. Very complicated. It's kind of like Visual Composer.
Yeah.
Where you don't actually see what you're editing until you publish it. So it can be difficult.
Well, speaking of that, you want to touch on your mention, because you had brought up just the whole aspect of, and even though we're in it, but letting people know about the playground, WordPress playground.
Oh yeah. So the WordPress playground is this new um uh hold on, this new thing that allows you to run WordPress within the browser. So what that means is you don't need hosting. um you can just go to your browser and bring up the playground, and you'll be able to try WordPress. There are some, other stuff you might have to do. It's in the documentation if you want to um, install plugins and themes. But this will allow you to test plugin and themes without having to use what we use, like InstaWP, to spin up a site, put a plugin in there, or put a theme in there and test it out. Now, if it's in the repository, you can test it out, and they have a thing that's called Blueprint. Um, I think it's Blueprint API, which are Blueprint JSON file that allows you to add some of your own stuff. So if you want to add a premium plugin, you can link to the zip file and stuff. And so the documentation on it is pretty good. So this way, even for developers, if you have a plugin that's on the repository or something, you can allow people to test your plugin directly on your website and stuff. So they don't have to leave your website to test your plugin. You can also have your own theme, so you can have, when it loads, it has certain pages with images and all that stuff on there. So you can kind of have your own site ready to go, and let people play around with it. Check out the back end.
Is this
Uh,
free? Is this free for people to use? How do they?
it is, well, at least right now, it's 100% free.
Okay.
And so, like I said, I think it's especially for somebody new who's wondering if they want to go the WordPress route. This is a way to test WordPress a little bit, and see the back end and the dashboard and stuff. But like I said, it's WordPress in itself is its own beast. So you may get lost back here in the back end.
Yeah, I can see a lot of people get lost if we were just joining in. I only feel a little more comfortable because I'm years in. Otherwise,
Yes.
this was intimidating, and
Mhm.
a lot oftentimes, and I'm sure you've come across it too. A lot of people will change the back end for their clients or for
Yeah.
themselves to make it look different.
They do. I just hope WordPress comes out with a new a new design. It's been what, decades
Yeah,
uh, since they changed the design back here, um, and
decades. You're right.
uh, and so that's, like I said, it's up to the developer. I usually just keep it the same.
So this is a good alternative for people who don't have access or don't want to invest in something like we used, or we spend up our
Yeah,
WP or alternative to create your own playground or sandbox sites.
the
That's another
sandbox.
term. Mark is basically saying this is because this is new for me. So
Yeah.
share something new for me because one thing that I used to use was they had a Gutenberg one
Mhm.
where you can go to WordPress.org. I think it was /Gutenberg or block editor, and you can play with the block editor directly on the page.
Yeah. So I guess, like, right now, I've been playing with the setup file. And right now I have mine where it automatically has Cadence blocks installed and the Cadence theme activated. So there's a, like, they made it where you can have a ton of options. I see it, more for plugin and theme developers to allow people to test um their themes and plugins. And InstaWP is great, but it also, when they're testing it, it takes them off the site. With
Mhm.
this, you can keep them on the site because it's an iframe, and you can add some other stuff in
Mm.
there.
It's like a site within a site, basically.
Yep. Yes, it is.
I wonder how much complication. Now, right now, do you believe, or do you have you had experience with the mobile? Because that's a big thing where people are going to want to try this
Yeah.
out.
I haven't played around with the mobile yet. I'm gonna get to that.
Mhm.
I just been digging into the documentation and seeing if I can, install like different themes and different plugins using their JSON file code.
Mhm.
And you can change the WordPress version. You can change the PHP version. Like there's, it's ridiculous the amount of stuff you can change in there. So.
Mm. Well, I think speaking of changes, because there's a lot that you can change in here. I know there's a lot of people watching this that may not have any clue
Yeah,
as
no
far
clue what I'm talking about.
as all the things that we can change. But
Mhm,
at least we are planting that seed to you,
mhm,
and you can refer to this one day. You can remember, hey, I remember when they brought up the thing about the thing about the thing, and then it clicks to you then. Right now,
yeah,
just planting the seed. But
yeah, and
to
so,
your
like,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm about to say, like I said, I see this evolve because what they released this in, like, December or something like that.
Mm.
I don't remember when they,
So it's
released
fairly
this.
new.
Yeah, it's fairly new,
Okay.
and, it's gonna evolve, a lot of people are asking why is WordPress doing this, but I think, it opens up the door for a lot of stuff to be ran in the browser. Um, and so, for me doing a lot of tutoring, a lot of people don't know about hosting or installing WordPress, or especially if they want to test it out. I see this as a tool for, people who just want to test stuff out.
That's I think that's going to be a very useful tool for people
Mhm.
for testing things out.
Yeah.
And when it comes to testing things out, I know that you had mentioned earlier me adding an image to for us to do our testing with,
Yeah.
which we still will. But when it comes to images, you want to. I found an article because
Okay.
I think this will be a good time for us to kind of bring up, and this is just a random site, but it was just to bring up the aspects of our experiences when it comes to images. And I know you mentioned a few earlier, but then there were a few more on this that I wasn't familiar with. I was curious, were you
Okay.
familiar with something like a APNG? And we're talking about image types, folks.
Okay. Yeah. Image types. I guess an image type is probably how the image is created or compressed. And so I haven't heard of APNG. That's a new one.
Hmm.
AF, was it AFI A A
VF,
D I F?
it's a hard.
Uh, yeah, that's a new one.
Yeah,
And it has browser compatibility on most of the major browsers now. But for me, working with the government sometimes, uh, I would still have a fallback like a JPEG or something like that.
how
Uh,
often do you work with GIF files?
hardly, um, hardly ever anymore.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, hardly ever anymore.
Hardly ever JPEGs are normal. What about
Yeah.
PNGs and SVGs?
I work with PNGs. A lot too, depending on what you need. They allow for transparency uh,
Mhm.
as well in there. SVGs are great because they're small and they can be scaled.
Mhm.
And so in WordPress, usually you need a plugin or add-on to turn on the ability to upload SVGs
Right.
for some security reasons. And so, like I said, SVGs are used a lot for icons because they can scale great.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point. And then what about WebP?
Yeah, WebP. I use this one a lot. I'll probably switch to the AVIF in the future. But with both of these, I still have the fallback JPEG turned on for right
Mhm,
now.
mhm.
Um, just thinking about previous versions of browsers and stuff, and so
That's
um,
smart. Have a backup.
yeah. So just for now, hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, in 5 or 6 years, well, probably quicker than that. We could just go with WebP and AVIF.
That would be nice. I know they don't have on here one that I use pretty often, which is a Lottie. A lot
Okay.
of files, and Lottie files are basically what GIFs used to be. Uh,
Okay.
but most people don't know when it comes to Lottie and um, Airbnb actually was the people behind this. You think like, wait, how would Airbnb be behind it? Yeah, they're the ones who I would say either invented it or discovered, acquired. Uh,
Mhm.
but they just needed a better way to compress. And so, I mean, to be able to go from a 321 kilobyte GIF, and a GIF is basically just a image that has motion tied to it.
Mhm.
There's no sound. It's just a short video, and it looks like an image, but it's a video with no sound. And they take up a lot of low space on your page, a lot. Like
A
you'll
lot.
low down your. So the purpose of having a Lottie is to have the same experience or outcome of having a video, a soundless video that looks like a picture or image. However, you have the same quality without the space or the storage being taken up. So that was the value of using Lottie. And I think a lot of people don't know about it. They're on websites. WordPress, I believe, has. I know Cadence Blocks has a Lottie block. I know
Mhm.
Spectre has a Lottie block. I'm not sure if WordPress Core Blocks has a dedicated Lottie block yet.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't think so. But it would be nice if they did. But these are Lottie files are a great way for you to substitute. If you don't want to use GIFs, use Lottie. Have you used Lottie before in any of your projects?
Not really, no. I'm not really a motion person.
Not emotional, huh? You're not an
Yeah. Yeah, so
we had mentioned. Oh yeah, yeah. Speaking of the plugins, what plugin do you use? So I'm gonna type in image.
Alright, so 2 of the main ones I use are I tell people when I'm doing my tutoring sessions, I'm like, "This name is gonna sound crazy." Right? It's called EW.
Sounds crazy.
And I'm like, so, but it's one of the best image optimization plugins. So I
Uh-huh.
usually use that one there. And then another one I usually use is Short Pixel
Mm,
as well. Oh, wow. They went down. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
mhm.
They went down. When
So
he says they went down, we're talking about down in
in
the
the listings.
listings for the
Mhm.
WordPress. Yeah, well, I just typed
Yeah.
in image, and they used to be at the top. They used to be on the front
Yeah.
row, actually.
Yeah. So, you got different ones too. Like I haven't used Imagefy or Smush.
That's a popular one, Imagify.
Yeah.
Much is a popular one too.
Smush. Yeah. So, it's all comes down to preference. There's tons of articles that compares all of those image compressions ones and stuff. But I just like you. It's easy to use. And I like
Popular too. Like I don't know how they got 1 million, and hopefully nobody working at hears this. And like, how dare you? But listen, with a name like that, you guys did a great job getting 1 million active installations because that usually will turn people off that have
right.
objects.
So, but like I said, it's great. It's easy to use. The free version is good. They
Mhm.
also have a paid version that has a little bit more features as well. I don't know. I don't know if their paid version has a CDN where they host the files or not. what like short pixel does.
Mm, interesting. And another thing that a lot of people don't really realize when it comes to image optimization is that there is a difference between image optimization and image compression.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they sound similar, like, oh, it's the same thing, but and sometimes people use it interchangeably.
Yeah.
But image compression is literally reducing the file size, like
Mhm.
you're making it smaller. Image optimization includes image compression, but there's many other things such
Mhm.
as converting the images.
Yeah,
You can
and then the image size, right? Because sometimes your image can be way too big for the area, and so image optimization is making sure you have the right size image for the area it's in.
for the yep, which is not always a compression scenario.
No, mhm,
Sometimes you need to upscale things,
yeah,
downscale,
mhm,
um, even cutting the to your point. So I know one trick that I use. And I know this is a dummy site, so it has no media. Okay, but one trick that I use is I'll click on the image itself and I'll cut it in half. I'll cut the dimensions in half. That is that is something that I learned dramatically will make your images faster, appear faster on WordPress without even having to use a plugin. You
yeah,
just you would go into your image and select an image. Right now I'm in the media library and there are no images, but if I had an image here, I would select it and then it would give me the image dimensions.
mhm,
I would take a calculator, literally, because I'm not that good at math. I'll go to my calculator and I would take both of those numbers and I would divide them by 2. And then I would go back in there and put those in there.
and so WordPress also has a little small image editor. So when you click on the image and open it on the right hand side, you'll see edit image,
Yeah.
and you can click on that, and then you can crop, you can scale. So I do a lot of cropping and scaling sometimes in there when I don't feel like logging in the well, not logging in, but turning on Photoshop or something.
So I'm just putting in a just a random
Okay.
image here, and
Yeah,
just like you said,
yeah.
you have
Uh,
this area here, and then edit
yeah.
or edit
Where
image here.
Yeah, yeah. And so you'll see crop and scale
Yep.
there, and you can edit the image there. That's basic editing,
Yes.
but a lot of times it can get the job done.
It helps out a lot. I can tell you, people
Mhm,
don't who think they have to have
mhm,
um, some type of image
mhm,
compression tool, which is good to have. Don't get me wrong, but if you want to do something quick and dirty, going in here and cropping it and changing the dimensions itself. Like I said, this one is 2,560, 2560 by 1920. I would just cut this in half and see does it retain the amount of quality that I need. Because sometimes you have images that are too big
mhm,
for the browser anyway. But that's definitely something that I know, um, and I believe Mark, you touched on it multiple times as well. You know, things that people they don't they either take for granted or they just don't do their due diligence in, and then wonder why their page, no matter how fast they think their page should be, it's not going to be fast because you got these other missing components too.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that makes up page speed, and if one of those are off, it's gonna mess up your page speed. So it's and then as sites grow and stuff, it also affects it as well.
Hmm. Is there anything that you can say, um,
Do you want to know what it is?
any type of secret that you can give, or what is there a quick win people can take from here that would make their page faster outside of the things we already mentioned?
Ooh, quick way. Probably the quickest way is a CDN. Is adding a CDN. Um, I think that's the quickest way. But bad hosting, CDN ain't gonna help that either. So Having good hosting is another quick way. It might cost a lot more, but um, hosting is a quick way also.
So
Um,
CDN hosting.
uh, Caching, page caching as well. You got stuff like if you're on a Lightspeed server, you can use Lightspeed. If you're on um, something else, you can use like WP Rocket. There's a few other like Fast Cache. There's a few other caching plugins out there as well.
That's what I would say for 90% of the people out there just getting into WordPress to use WP Rocket if you can afford it.
Mhm.
And if you can't afford it, we got some other things that we need to talk about. So you might want to. So I'm just saying this to say, because I understand, folks. I understand that there are those listening to right now that are saying, well, I bought this, I got this, I got that, I got this, and that's all fine and dandy. I'm telling you though that you can call me biased or not. I mean, I don't get paid. I don't work for WP Rocket, and I'm not sponsored by them. But I can tell you, as many websites that I've built, that one plugin has been one of the plugins that we have only had to do the minimum amount of optimization or setting up to see results. And then everything else we did from there, we saw results. But if your hosting accepts it doesn't work with every hosting. That's one thing.
Mhm.
Check your hosting. If your hosting accepts something like WP Rocket, there's a reason why. I'll say this. Everything you named, tell me if I'm wrong, Mark. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Everything you named besides WP Rocket, is there a free version on the WordPress repo?
Yeah, even for WP Rocket, there's free versions on the repo. There's gonna be a little bit more setup for it, maybe. Um,
If you're referring to their extension plugins, then I would say yes. If you're saying that there's actually a WP Rocket version, then that's something
oh no. There's no WP Rocket itself isn't
okay.
on the repo.
And that's what I'm saying. Like
You know.
everything else you named itself is on the repo. It's just a free
Mhm.
version of that. There is no free version of WP Rocket on the repo. And in my opinion, there's a reason for that. They do have they have a WordPress image compressor. They have an extension. They have that, and plugins do it all the time. They'll create
Mhm.
another feature or thing from their tool set, but they don't create a free feature for that. So I'm just striving to give people practical advice and tips that don't come from a developer's perspective, because I know there's a whole bunch of developers hating on me right now, or designers, or WordPress experts or aficionados, and
Mhm.
that's good. But I'm striving to give people a perspective. For those who are watching and probably debating what I'm saying, I'm just letting you all know, hey, use what you need and use what you won't. But if the person is just starting off with WordPress and they want a quick, fast solution and they're willing to spend $150 a year, that's all you're spending, $50 a year, $100 a year, no more, no less than that, and you don't want to have to do a whole bunch of optimization stuff to your website, that is one quick. It ain't the only quick solution.
Mhm.
That's one quick way.
Yeah, and like I said, there's plugins. There's also server side caching as well, and then there's performance plugins like Perf Matters and Advanced Database Cleaner. So what these?
Asset cleanup is another one too. That's we've been
Yeah,
using asset cleanup.
yeah. And so what some of these plugins do is there's a lot of stuff in WordPress um, that's loaded that you don't need. Or sometimes like revisions, you can go on the site and you can see like 150 revisions. You don't need that many revisions. It's just clogging up your database. There's also like sometimes you'll see a whole bunch of posts in the trash. These plugins that clean up your trash. They'll turn off like scripts like the emoji script. Right? I don't use emojis,
Mm.
so I don't want to script one. There's a few scripts. Like most of the time, I don't even need the RSS feed
Right.
scripts. So these can turn those off, or even like comments. They can just these little things that help speed up your site as well.
Yeah, those are good points, especially for those who are willing to now with those suggestions,
Yeah.
the user, the person who is doing this, you
Mhm.
have to be willing to learn. You
Yeah.
gotta be willing to like that's the difference. Like I'm not listen. I'm telling you, what Mark is saying is true. Two things can be true.
Yeah.
Both these answers could be solutions to your problem. I'm just letting you all know one of those solutions, you don't
Mhm.
got to learn nothing. You got to pay some money. Hey, you spend money to save time or you spend time to save money, but you can't have both. One of these solutions, you spending money to save time because you
Mhm.
don't have to learn WP Rocket, something like that. You literally just install on your website, it works immediately. Now, from there, you can make your site faster, but you don't have to do too much learning with everything else like perf matters, asset cleanup,
Mhm.
you got to learn something. You're gonna have to watch multiple tutorials. You got to learn some type of understand minification, CSS, like
Mhm.
scripting. You got to learn something, and there's nothing wrong with that. You
Mhm.
just got to be willing to go both routes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And with all of them, you're gonna have to play around with the settings, right? Because not every server is made the same, not every site's made the same.
That's key.
So you're gonna have to play around a little bit with the settings.
And it goes
Uh,
back to your hosting, going to the point you
yeah.
made, because if your hosting has terrible support while you're learning this tool and you're playing with these settings, your
Mhm.
hosting could be a big help in your learning curve.
Mhm.
Set things up. If you don't have good support with your hosting,
Mhm.
right, you're basically by yourself again.
It is. Like for me, I love GoDaddy. Absolutely love them.
Look, notice how he paused, y'all. I didn't say nothing. I didn't say nothing because they sponsor me, and I and I love GoDaddy for a lot they do. But notice how he paused. Yeah, look, he paused like what I'm
Because a lot of my tutoring clients are are GoDaddy users.
saying.
Like they're GoDaddy users. So I'm like, keep doing what you're doing, GoDaddy. You bringing me clients. But in a lot of times now, well, it's not saying GoDaddy's good or bad, but a lot of times, with that, I've troubleshooted and solved so many issues with GoDaddy to where I know the exact questions to ask the support team
Mhm.
uh, and stuff. So, like I said, it's a love-hate relationship with GoDaddy.
Yeah, it's definitely a love-hate relationship with GoDaddy. I used to use them back in the day myself.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
I used to purchase domains from them, and they were my
Yeah,
DNS for the most part. I never used them for hosting, so I don't have much to say about
yeah.
that. But I will say I know some people that have had some issues. But yeah, they do a lot. There's things that they do really, really well, things they can use
Mhm,
improvement on. And um, the one thing I will say about them, and hey, I talk to them personally, so I can care
yeah,
less. They
yeah,
you can take it to the bank if you trying to discredit my opinion, but they got, there's just a lot of upsell,
yeah.
points, and you buy this, you got to buy that, and you got to buy this, you got to buy that. And you know what else? I'm just gonna keep it real. I don't like the fact that you have to purchase your SSL, even though you know what I'm saying. Like it's little things like that that for me, I rather just pay for premium hosting,
Yeah.
and that comes with all that stuff, then having to pay for, good hosting, because I don't want to say that they're bad or they're great, just good
Mhm.
hosting. And yet I still gotta pay for like all these external features. I mean, have you experienced that, or is that not your experience with GoDaddy?
Yeah, I've had clients who like, my SSL's not working, and well, you gotta buy.
Like, wait, I don't get the easy.
Or, I think Bluehost is the same way, right? You gotta buy the SSL. I think Bluehost gives you one free, and then you gotta purchase the other one. So, picking the right host is a big deal, and sometimes working with GoDaddy security can be difficult, if you get locked out of your account and
Oh yeah, it's a wrap.
uh,
I literally have almost Listen, I almost had. Listen, I've had like I got locked out one time. I said never. No, I can't go through
Yeah.
it anymore.
Like I said, I've helped a lot of people. We spent a while trying to help people get back into their accounts and stuff. I mean, they got the email, they got the credit card they use, they got
Yep.
all the information, and it's still rough to get back in.
They wanted. I mean, they got bigger, tighter security in the White House. You know,
Mhm.
the
So,
president.
like I said, with security, sometimes it's a good and a bad thing. It's a gift and a curse. So,
Yeah. Well, shout outs to them. Shout outs to GoDaddy for
yeah,
everything, and shout out to all your clients that use
yeah.
GoDaddy. Even though a couple years from now they should be probably migrating to something else when they need more
Mhm.
um, managed hosting type services,
Yeah,
and we'll get into that on another topic on another day. The difference between shared hosting versus
mhm,
managed hosting versus cloud hosting. I'm a firm believer now that if you really value your website and you want to have less development needs, or you want to less external development needs. Sometimes having a developer is great for building
mhm,
pages and building things, but then there's other times where you're using a developer for maintenance stuff like hosting,
mhm.
and that's where a good managed hosting could save you money, save you time, headache, because if you're using a managed hosting, they typically will go in your WordPress site for you or do things on your behalf. Where a shared hosting, typically like a GoDaddy's, like the regular plans, or like a SiteGround's regular shared hosting plans, they're only going to help you so much. You know,
Did you see where SiteGround now is providing care plans? And
yes,
so
it's in my back end. I saw that just not too long ago.
I was like, that's interesting.
They're turning almost into SiteGround. I Fox with y'all too, but y'all turned
Yeah.
into a GoDaddy as well. Y'all getting all these add-ons,
So,
telling the CNN, the
yeah.
email, the
So before I came to where I'm at now, I was with SiteGround. It was just those renewal fees.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. They get you with the renewal fees.
Shoo.
Yeah, they get you with the renewal fees. And that's another thing, y'all. Be careful with that. Your first sign up, you're gonna get this major discount.
Yeah.
Look at the regular pricing. Don't just get
Mhm,
turned on by the discount.
mhm.
They'll get you there. But yeah, this has been great.
Yes, it is.
Um, I think that again we're gonna keep growing. I mean, Mark, you definitely seem a lot more comfortable than
Yeah.
the first one.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I'm slowly working on my tech stack and getting that better.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. See, the difference though is you're used to your tech stack being digital, where this is more
Yeah.
like you talk about more gear, like more
Yeah.
physical. Yeah, it's a
Mhm.
different recording, streaming, all of this stuff. I'm sure you're learning, and I'm sure
Yeah.
you've already heard that it's a different beast.
Yes.
It's a different, and then the part that gets great over time when you start having people hit you up out of nowhere. I think you had mentioned that last time. You were like somebody asked you about the movies because you were talking about you like
Yeah.
movies. People hit you up randomly, and you're like, "Oh, you watched that, huh? You watched the replay. Like you didn't watch it live, but you caught me." And they go, "Why did your thing look like this?" Or "Why did you say that?" Or you're like, and then you start to get more conscious and
Yeah.
aware. Like it's good. It feels good.
Yes.
That's where we're going. Well, I thank you all for joining in and giving us your time. I can't think of anything else that we know we need to talk about. For those who are listening to this in the future and listening to this or just listening to this on audio, hopefully we are giving you just as much of an experience by verbalizing a lot of the things that you would get if you were watching, via YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever streaming platform you're watching. We want to make sure that people who have different learning methods can watch, but then some people want to learn or be entertained through listening. So
Yes.
appreciate that. Mark, is there anything else that you got that you want to leave us off with?
No, except for Learner Built is my site, and I do one-on-one and group and corporate tutoring. So if anybody's looking to learn WordPress, let me know.
Oh, and He will be dropping. I won't say, you can say that,
Yeah.
he'll be dropping some lead magnets or a lead magnet soon. A freebie, I'm using the
Yeah.
jargon term, but a freebie for those to get a taste tester of,
Yeah.
of the services.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to give to the public, share with the public about this, or do you want to just keep that under wraps for now? Later?
Well, I guess I'm gonna be using the playground. And so we're gonna see how this works out with the playground. And I'm gonna see how I can turn that into a lead gen. And so we'll be it'll be a learning experience for everybody.
Dope. I'm gonna be learning vicariously through you as well while you play with that, and hopefully you can give me some pointers and through your experiences, because
Yeah.
I use Insta for my kind of playground experience, but based on what you've taught today, they're not necessarily the same thing. Right? They don't have the same.
No, yeah, they're not necessarily the same thing. Like I said, I think playground is good for beginners who want to get an introduction to WordPress. So that's what I'll be using it for, is helping people get an introduction to WordPress without having to install anything, trying to find host or anything like that.
Hopefully that it happens sooner than later, because they need that.
Yeah.
People need that. And let me show real quick before we leave your site. So
well, I'm in the process of working on a new one. So
okay, so my bad. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just want to let people know
Yeah.
that it's
Okay.
live, y'all. Learner Build is live, so you can go to it right now
Yes.
and you can contact Mark. And then for those of y'all who might be watching this in the future, you may see a refreshed version. Is that a good
Yes.
way to say it? Update?
Yep. Refresh. Update.
Right. So yeah, it's live right now. You can go to it right now. You can book with Mark. He can help you with coaching, with tutoring, with any of your WordPress needs, and go from there. I mean, is there anything else on this that you particularly can say? That who you're for exactly, or your biggest core?
I guess my biggest core are individuals who are looking to learn WordPress, or who are stuck somewhere in their learning journey. Who maybe your site is messed up, and you need somebody to guide you on how to make fixes. So those are my core students.
Nice. Dope. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. My name is Maestro Stevens, and that is Mark Bennett. And we are excited and glad that you have joined us for this. His site and his business is Learner Built. You can go to learnerbuilt.com. We're obviously broadcasting from Iconic Templates, so you can also go to iconictemplates.com as well. And use both sites as a resource to your WordPress journey, and use them interchangeably. Use them however you see fit, but use them, because that's what we're doing here, is just striving to build you all resources, tools, and give you skill sets, give you lessons, give you the education you need, right? The confidence. So tools mixed with the confidence in order for you to succeed a lot faster than we have within our WordPress journey, or journey in general, and succeed a lot further than most people in general. Because most people don't take the time to do what it is you're probably doing, which is educating yourself through resources and through sources like this that you're watching now. So thank you. Give a pat on your back, or yourself a hug. If you're a hugger, give yourself a hug for that. So, all right, y'all. We out.
Thanks.